from Team Mavin. I'm Ritu Saraf. I'm a life coach and a healer, and it is of immense pleasure that I get to introduce this event every year. And indeed, it's an honor to meet all the coaches, trainers, healers across the planet. And we have today lovely guests. Before I introduce our guest for the evening, I'd request all the new joinees and also the people who've been participating from day one, just to count your blessings. Once again, let's start with a small prayer. Let's close our eyes and take a long, slow, and deep breath. Relax your full body. Take a deep breath. And make a little prayer. Everything that you're going to accomplish right now, in these few hours with us, the self-work, the journey along with the trainers and coaches here, may allow you to be a better version of yourself. Think of everything that brings true joy, liveliness into your life, that makes you come alive. Picture yourself. Look at yourself. Visualize what makes you come alive. What brings you true joy. Anything and everything that doesn't allow you to be so, let it go. I invite you to pick up anything that you find challenging. Choose that one thing which you would like to overcome in these next 6 days with us, including today. Let that be the focal point. And may you overcome all your challenges. May you be blissful, happy, alive, and joyful every moment of your life. Please write down. In case you have any challenges that you saw for yourself, please pick that up. And from yesterday, day one task, we gave you a beautiful task of noting down your reaction, how you were from yesterday night to today evening. Any reactions that you made through this time period, we asked you to put a seed or a chit inside a jar. Do we have a count? How many of you did the exercise? Please write down in the chat box. I definitely like to see who all did the exercise. How has been your experience of being aware? Yes, please, Alicia, go ahead. You want to share? Okay, beautiful, Anandita. All right. Would you like to share, Anandita? How was it for you?
Yeah, Ritu, I've been following Mr. Sukhdeepak for a while now, and he is my mentor, and he has spoken about this reaction versus response in multiple of his programs, and it surprises me every time that how it changes and how much reminder we require on a day-to-day basis, because we are such a reaction oriented everything requires us to react, including our jobs, our relationships, everything. People are looking for a reaction, even if you don't want to react. So today there was an incident at work where I chose not to react, and my colleague was actually looking for a reaction. So I thought I'll share that today evening. So yes, beautiful. That was beautiful. Quite surprising.
Thank you for sharing. Anybody else who would like to share? 6, 8, 4, I see that. Please share your experiences in the chat box. How was it to note that you have become aware of you being reactive and then hold yourself back and start responding to it? How was it? मैं आप सबसे गुजारिश करूंगी कल की एक्सरसाइज जो हमने दी थी, जब भी आपने अपने आप को देखा कि आप रिएक्ट कर रहे हो और आपने एक चिट डाली, तब आपने नोटिस किया कि आपके भीतर कुछ आपने ऑब्जर्वर की तरह आपने आप को देखा, दृष्टा भाव से अपने आप को देखा, और फिर आपने अपना रिस्पॉन्स दिया. How was the experience of being so? Yes, I'm getting a personal chat here. I get that. Thank you. Without further ado, it's 9:05. So I'd like to introduce our next our speaker for today's evening. We have with us our beautiful Dr. Anandita Chakravarti. She's an intensivist and she works in the critical care unit of a reputed hospital in Mumbai. Her interest is in alternative sciences, which has led her to explore various modalities, of which shamanism is one of the forms that she teaches. Welcome, Dr. Anandita. It's beautiful to have you here. Thank you for coming over and enlightening us on this beautiful aspect. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you for the very kind and wonderful introduction.
Dr. Anandita, there's one request. If you can use both the language, Hindi and English.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you.
And please, Shabana, if I'm going too much in English, please just remind me. It's I think it's a matter of habit. Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining, and thank you for everyone for coming for this talk. Shamanism is something that so one thing that I would like to say is कि हमारे यहाँ पे जो structure है कि पहले के 25 मिनट मैं बात करूँगी और फिर 5 मिनट में I'm supposed to be taking the questions. But I like all my sessions to be interactive, and आज जो मैं टॉपिक लेके बात कर रही हूँ वो शायद अब मुझे नहीं पता आप लोगों को कितना जानकारी है उसके बारे में. तो in case there is something that you truly would like to ask, please feel free to put it on the chat or even stop me and talk, because I don't like this to be a monologue. Having said that, shamanism is, where do I start with shamanism? It is vast and it is beautiful. So I will start where I always like to start, is where my journey began. My journey began last year when my mother she had a cerebral stroke, and one side of her body was left paralyzed. My parents were in Calcutta. They still live in Calcutta. I live in Bombay. I'm an intensivist by profession. I was working in a hospital here where I was handling COVID patients. So it was such that, despite of being a doctor, healer, and all that I like to call myself, in a way, I really had to depend on the kindness of other people and the trust in universe, God, a higher power, whatever it is that we would all like to call it. I had to depend on something which was outside of me. And मेरा जो control mechanism था, मेरा जो ये बहुत बड़ी मतलब मेरा सोच हमेशा ये था कि I'm becoming a doctor, so I'm like the only child of my parents, so I'll always be there to take care of them. That entire construction of my reality just broke, where when my mother really needed me, I could not be there, and while I was being there for other people. And that is where I truly had to look at कि यहाँ पे हम लोग जो सोचते हैं ना कि मेरी माँ, मेरे बच्चे, मेरी family, yes, that is very important. But at the same time, there is also this universal language and universal support that works for all of us. Because without getting into too much of the story, I can tell you for a fact that the way my mother was taken care of in the hospital and outside also, मैं डॉक्टर होने के बाद भी मैं शायद इतना नहीं कर पाती जितना लोगों ने उनके लिए किया. And that is when I think if I was being a little arrogant, if I was a little too sure of my abilities, I became a lot humbler than I used to be. It was a very humbling experience for me. And that is where at one point when I started really, because when लास्ट ईयर हम लोगों ने सबने शायद ये महसूस किया होगा कि जब सबको घर पे रहना पड़ रहा था, कि हम बाहर नहीं जा पा रहे थे, हम लोग नेचर में जा नहीं पा रहे थे, हम लोग अपने वॉक्स के लिए नहीं जा पा रहे थे, तो हाउ मच वी स्टार्टेड मिसिंग इट, how much we started missing the natural world. And I read this person called Michael Harner. He's a very famous anthropologist who later on went on to train as a shaman himself, and who did a lot of work with different shamanic cultures. And I started reading Michael Harner, and that's where he started talking about कि हमारी जो ये वेरी बेसिक कनेक्शन जो है कि नेचर के साथ, ये चीज हाउ डिफरेंट कल्चर्स हैव बीन एक्सप्लोरिंग दैट, एंड शैमनिज्म इज वन ऑफ दोज कल्चर्स जो ये कनेक्शन को बहुत डीपली एक्सप्लोर करती है. Now, when I talk about universality, where I really connected with shamanism, where, you know, it's like I was sitting in Bombay and things were getting done in Calcutta for my mother. Similarly, आप अगर shamanism में भी देखेंगे तो people in Siberia and people in South America with absolutely no connection like satellite or wireless or anything, I'm talking say thousands of years back, यहाँ पे जो पद्धति, यहाँ पे जो चीजें लोग यूज कर रहे थे to heal, to, you know, reach a higher state of consciousness, to have awareness of the future and the past, and, you know, create a different reality with all of that. जो चीजें साइबेरिया में हो रही थी, वो वही चीजें साउथ अमेरिका में हो रही थी, वही चीजें ऑस्ट्रेलिया में हो रही थी. These were all native aboriginal tribal cultures who were using the same modalities across the world without even having, उनका कोई कनेक्शन नहीं था, उनके पास प्रिंट नहीं था, उनके पास प्रेस नहीं था, उनके पास टेलीफोन नहीं था, उनके पास वायरलेस नहीं था, इंटरनेट नहीं था. They were not communicating with each other, but the universality of that language, that is where shamanism really spoke to me. That how is it possible कि isolated cultures एक ही चीजों के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, who have no geographical connection, मतलब उनके land mass is totally disconnected, लेकिन despite of that they are still talking about the same thing. So there is something called an universal truth, there is something called an universal language, जो हमारी spoken language के it's beyond हमारा जो spoken language है, and that we make so important. And also where it was so relevant to me was because मेरी training अब तक medical science में थी. So, you know, it was all about proof, it was all about research, it was all about how much, you know, how much you can medically prove things. I was a very proof oriented person. And that also, I think COVID also shook that up for us, because the minute, you know, we would decide कि हाँ ये drugs ऐसे 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 काम कर रही थी, अगले दिन कुछ और होता था और हमें कुछ और कॉम्प्लिकेशंस पता चलता था, एंड देन और कोई और गाइडलाइन आता था. मतलब गाइडलाइंस तो हर दिन चेंज हो रहा था, लाइक लोग जैसे कपड़े बदलते हैं वैसे हम लोग गाइडलाइंस बदल रहे थे. So, you know, it came at a time when it really shook my reality up. And when it shook my reality up, I was in both personally and emotionally in a volatile space. At no point did I feel unnurtured, unguided, or no point did I feel कि मतलब I've been thrown in the deep end. This when you're, you know, जब आपका comfort zone चला जाता है, जैसे, you know, you're not close to your loved ones, you are working in मेरे लिए मेरी comfort zone था कि हाँ मेरी job ठीक चल रही है, मेरी family ठीक है, जो हम सबके लिए होता है. जब मेरा वो comfort zone चला गया, I really had to look at myself and outside myself, because of course we can't provide all of it by ourselves. That's when I realized that a relationship is possible with beings who are just not your family or people you see. There are your guides, there are your angels. In different modalities it's called different things. In shamanism we call it guides, in other modalities it's called angels, it's called teammates, it's called it's different modalities called different things. But what my greatest realization through all of this is that we are guided. बात अब ये है कि हम लोग गाइडेंस सुनना चाहते थे. We are so caught up in our own egos, we are so caught up in our own agendas. हमें वो गाइडेंस सुनना नहीं होता. So This was a time that, you know, I really looked at nature, and I really looked at that guidance which was not coming from the people or the sources that I had considered sacrosanct till that point. That is when shamanism truly became a conversation for me. Now, what is the kind of shamanism that I'm talking about? एक तो पहली shamanism के बारे में बहुत सारी misinformation है. A lot of people think कि shamanism करने के लिए आपको ayahuasca या तो कोई some kind of hallucinogenic लेना बहुत important है. That is not the case. I have never taken any kind of drugs or hallucinogenics ever to have a shamanic journey. Michael Harner said this, that the brain waves is what changes. For the people maybe who have some experience in theta healing, or some people who probably who have some idea about brain waves, या तो मैं बाद में ग्रुप पे भी मैं शेयर कर सकती हूँ information about these things. It is a proven fact that your brain waves, जो आपके brain waves है, ये change हो सकता है with sound. So shamans, what they did was, they used drumming as a way to induce a journey where your brain wave comes to a certain wavelength in which you are able to access the shamanic state of consciousness. Now, जब मैं ये shamanic state of consciousness बोलती हूँ, इसका मतलब क्या होता है? ये जो मेरा अभी जो state of consciousness है, this is my ordinary state of consciousness. मैं इस reality में मैं रहती हूँ, मैं खाती हूँ, मैं सोती हूँ, मैं काम करती हूँ. This is my ordinary state. It's not the state where I am in a altered state. Altered माने कुछ, it's nothing different from my ordinary life. Shamanic state of consciousness is a non-ordinary reality. मतलब यहाँ पे आपके साथ आपके animal guides बात करेंगे, आपके यहाँ पे you will connect with guides जो आपके relatives नहीं हैं, आपके known circle से नहीं है, आपने कभी देखा भी नहीं है. आप ऐसे ऐसे जगह जाएंगे जहाँ पे आप कभी in your physical body you have never been to. So that is the non-ordinary reality or the shamanic state of consciousness. So the way we journey to the shamanic state of consciousness is by inducing brain waves. That can be done with chemicals, that is in form of drugs and drugs and this. I use that word very lightly. Please don't take it as that, you know, I mean addictive drugs. I mean hallucin-inducing drugs like people use, I mean, the most famous one to be used is ayahuasca, and then there are ones they use in Africa, ones they use in Australia, depends from which place. Ayahuasca is what comes from Mexico. There is that, and then there is drumming also. Some people use movement as well. Shamans were movers. They used to use different forms of dance, of trance-inducing dance. जो हमारे India में भी different tribal cultures में है, जहाँ पे they use different kind of dances in order to induce a state of trance. Michael Harner का एक बहुत ही अच्छा quote मुझे लगा था कि he said that how you enter the shamanic state of consciousness is not important, that you do is, which basically means that आपने कैसे किया उससे कोई मतलब नहीं है, आपने you experienced shamanic state of consciousness, उस चीज से हमें मतलब. Having said this, now comes what is it that we are talking about now. The latest movement that is going on, and by latest I would say last 30 to 40 years, is something called core shamanism. Now, what is core shamanism? Core shamanism basically में क्या होता है यहाँ पे देखिए, shamanism is something that evolved around the world at different times at different periods. So it has definitely a cultural implication होता है उसका, एक geographical implication होता है. जैसे अफ्रीका में अगर आप बोलेंगे कि say in Africa, if you are talking about an animal, say like a whale, most of Africa will not know what a whale is. In Australia, if you talk about elephants, Australia will not know what elephants are. So shamanism did have a geographical implication. क्योंकि इनके पास उस वक्त ना इंटरनेट था, ना टीवी था, ना वायरलेस था. तो आज एक ऑस्ट्रेलियन एबोरिजिनल को कुछ नहीं पता था कि एलिफेंट क्या है. या तो maybe they had their variation of camels, but elephants was something that they did not know about. So there's always a geographical implication of shamanism when we look at shamanism as per geography and tribes. But in core shamanism, what happens is that people, I mean, and especially Michael Harner, and there were other people like Sandra Ingerman and many other noted speakers and anthropologists. They were all anthropologists, historians they by education and training. They did this thing where they distilled all the processes of shamanism without any cultural or geographical implication. What do I mean by this? It means that आपको कोई रीजन का, कोई पर्टिकुलर कल्चर का या कोई पर्टिकुलर रिलीजन फॉलो करने की जरूरत नहीं है in order to do this core shamanism. It doesn't have any kind of ना ही आपको कुछ केमिकल्स देना पड़ेगा, ना ही आपको कोई रीति रिवाज फॉलो करना पड़ेगा. There are some very basic guidelines that are there, which you learn when you learn from a shamanic practitioner. And there are a lot of resources on YouTube and otherwise also on Udemy, YouTube. They have a lot of resources as well. And that is where you take it forward from. तो कोई कल्चरल इम्प्लीकेशन नहीं होता है, कोई जोग्राफिकल इम्प्लीकेशन नहीं होता है इन कोर शैमनिज्म. एंड दीज आर प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ शैमनिज्म दैट अप्लाइज अराउंड द वर्ल्ड. Having said this, now till this point, am I making sense to people, to everyone? And does anybody have a question that I? Okay, I see a thumbs up. Thank you so much. So now taking it forward, where does shamanism become relevant to our modern day and modern culture? I was very proud of my modern culture till the point I realized that how disconnected we are from nature. How disconnected we are from the planet, which is truly the source of actual healing. And shamanism is a modality that takes you back to that, because they look at it that in shamanism, no healing is done by the shaman. Like, for example, if I'm doing a journey for you and you require the transformation of something in your life that is coming up for you, it will not be done by me. It will be done by your guides and by my guides. So to say this is that we basically are tapping into the healing capacity of the planet, the trees, the spirits of the animals, the spirit of the ocean, the spirit of the sun, the moon, the planets, the universe, for this healing and this transformation to happen in any kind of shamanic journey. So as human beings, our greatest source of healing is the earth. Our greatest source of connection is the earth. There are, in a lot of modalities, we talk about grounding. Grounding, we have all experienced that. Even I remember when I was working in COVID ward, there would be just days I would take off my shoes and put my feet on the ground and just take few deep breaths, and that would just take away hours of exhaustion. So this grounding is something that we've all done in different ways, in different this thing. So shamanism taps into the healing that the earth is, that the connection, the primordial connection that we have to the earth. That is what shamanism is looking and thriving to reinvent. And that is where I feel is the biggest relevance of shamanism in our day-to-day life. क्योंकि ये connection हमने कहीं पे खो दिया. ये connection हमारा नहीं है अभी, जो पहले हमारे ancestors को बहुत easily आता था. They used to work with the land, they used to work with the seasons, they used to work with so many things that were nature-driven. We are now more process-driven. So this is where I feel shamanism has reinvented its relevance in our day-to-day life. And this is where I'm doing my bit and my darnest actually to bring that more to our day-to-day life. My program is Everyday Shaman, where I teach people how they can use shamanic tools on a day-to-day basis to improve their lives um, and to take forward their highest interest and their highest goal. One exercise that I can give you today, that yesterday also we were given an amazing exercise. Today also I would like to leave you with a exercise that I do a lot. Anything that in the next 24 hours that comes up for you, आपको जो भी लगे, कोई emotion, कोई upset, कोई भी चीज जो आपको लगता है, कोई आपको कुछ कहता है, कोई आप कभी कहीं पे आपको अगले 24 घंटे में you experience sadness, disappointment, and all of that. Can you make your reference point a tree? What do I mean by that? When you look at a tree, how does a tree be with you? Does a tree decide that ठीक है मुझे इसको फल देना है, इसको फल नहीं देना? Does a tree decide that मुझे इसके पास इसको शेड देना है, इसको शेड देना नहीं है? ये सही इंसान है, ये गलत इंसान है? A tree provides shade to everyone and everything. A tree provides its fruits, its flowers, its leaves, everything to everything and everyone. And a tree also, when it has to wither and die, it just withers and dies. It doesn't have. Sorry, not my dogs. उनको भी पता होता है जब मेरा टॉक खत्म होने वाला है. So yeah, so if your reference point for the next 24 hours can be the tree, any tree around your, wherever you live, what would your life be like? Yes, Ratan, please.
Dr. Anindita, we have a question in the chat box as well. How can we adapt these in everyday behavior? From Jay Lakshmi.
Say again, how can we
adapt these in everyday behavior?
Yes, so that is where my program of Everyday Shamanism is. The one exercise I gave you is my favorite. आप ये try करके देखिए to feel and be like a tree for one day. And then it's I know it's very very illogical, but let's try illogical. मैंने logic बहुत किया है जिंदगी में, and I'm sure we've all done that. So Jalakshmi ji, आप ये try करके देखिए.
Another question from Meenu is, so does shamanism allow us to deepen our connect with nature?
Very much, very much.
So 5 elements, can we say, Dr. Anindita? Connect with 5 elements? Can you put it like that?
5 elements as in, I don't like to put it as elements, rather, I like to put it as our connection to nature.
Okay.
More of just our day-to-day connection with nature, which then becomes a source of energy, rejuvenation, and healing. That's what I like.
Okay, Sameer, you are saying, please elaborate on the tree. Kindly ask your question. What is your question exactly? You can unmute yourself and ask the question. While
hi. I just wanted to ask, like you come across a sad feeling or whatever. So, what you would just imagine as yourself a tree, like then how do you overcome, or what exactly? How do you relate yourself? You said कि वो सबको shade देता है, वो सबके लिए food है, सबके लिए बराबर. Okay, fine.
Samir, try it for one day.
Okay.
Yeah, let's find out how it this is, because as human beings we are so invested in feelings. We are so invested in कि मुझे कैसे react करना चाहिए, इसने ऐसा किया तो मुझे react करना चाहिए, मुझे reaction देना चाहिए, या इसका response करना चाहिए. A tree is always being. It never responds, it never reacts. लेकिन it doesn't, हम लोगों को, this is the idea that we have, that to prove our being we have to respond and react. Whereas a tree has no proving of its being, but it's being.
Yeah, here in exactly like most of us are dealing with my own feelings, like not exactly being responding to other people as such, you know.
Yes, of course.
So that's what I'm talking.
Yeah, it starts with ourselves, and try this exercise out, see how it goes, and we can always.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Sameer.
Thank you.
And we have one more question, Dr. Anindita.
Yes.
What about connection to birds and animals?
Yes. This time was too less to go into that. A lot of your connection will be to birds, animals, reptiles, because your spirit guides and there is something called a spirit guide and a spirit animal. So your spirit animal or your power animal is going to be somebody who becomes your companion. Like literally, when you have a relationship with a partner, the kind of deep and uh, the kind of relationship you share with that's how your relationship with your power animal and your spirit animal becomes. And that can be a bird, an animal, any one of those
So
things.
how do you discover that your spirit animal or your
Yes, so that is something that takes journeying, Samir.
Okay, fine.
This it doesn't cover in this ambit. I just looked at bringing shamanism to. I'm striving to bring shamanism to people, and that is something that you require to go on a journey. So if I can tell you, on YouTube, you can find Sandra Ingerman. I'll put the name over here.
Okay.
Sandra Ingerman. She has a lot of guided shamanic journeys.
All right. Last two questions we have time for. What about the relationship with water?
Yeah, so water is one of the elements, and it is a huge relationship. Again, I hate to say this again and again. This is also, I require far more time. I mean, I usually talk 2 to 3 hours about these things. And I really can't condense it into half an hour. So the Everyday Shaman is a free program I do. It's for twice a month. I meet with people who it's online and right now not in person, but yeah, it's online. So I will definitely share through Shabana. I'll definitely share.
Definitely, we'll all register and be there with you. Should we look at one last message, one last input from you? Should we look at bats as giving some message? Is a question Jay Lakshmi has. And Ratan, who had raised his hand, he's saying, I put my hand on a large tree in the park and I feel the energy in my body. Beautiful. He's already connected. And Yashpal has one question. Is the connection over vast distances similar to telepathy?
Yes, Yashpal. Yes.
Right.
Telepathy is very, very real and true. And madam, you have been raising your hand.
Joanita, please unmute yourself.
Yeah.
You can unmute yourself. Joanita, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my question was on grounding, and I noticed that I don't know static or what, but every time I touch something, I get shocked. Even as much as closing a door, in a car, if I just touch.
You're a very electrical person.
Okay, so it's got nothing to do with the grounding. That is what we need to be doing, because I have started walking barefoot and I've started hugging trees. So
please do. And just hug yourself more and be the electric personality that you are.
Thank you.
Yeah, and have I taken vast differences? Telepathy, yes. Bats, Jayalakshmi, this probably is more of your personal connection, which is probably you'll require to explore more with somebody who practices shamanism. Yeah, I think we have, and water, yes, huge healing power there. And if you connect to water, then please ask water to show you what more is there for you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Anandita. It was indeed a revelation for many of us here. I'm sure we are hearing it for the first time, including myself. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and honored to have you. And we'll definitely join your workshop and be there with you someday. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, my dear friends, what are your learnings? Just share a little bit on your chat box while I introduce our next speaker for the evening. Just put in one word that you picked up from the talk here from Dr. Anandita. Just quick one word. Connect with water, got that? Beautiful. What else? Go on. Beautiful session, new learning, all right. Now, up next we have Quanto Shivo. He's the creator of Energy Matrix Astrology, a foundation that researches and develops the science of astrology. He has been on a mission to free astrology from the clutches of superstition and fear-based approaches. He's also had a program on TV9 Mumbai channel. And today he's going to discuss with us a lot more about how we can connect our conscious energies with the help of deities and how to worship them. So we'd like to welcome Quanto Shivo. Very, very warm welcome. Very good evening to you.
Thank you very much, Ritu, for the introduction. So, are you introducing Mansi also?
Not right away. I think she'll come in later. Yes.
No, we are going to have a talk together. Actually, we
Together?
merged our
All
talk.
right.
Yeah, we
All
merged
right.
our talk.
Okay, beautiful. I'll just introduce her as well. So Mansi Bhagdev was the co-founder of Quanto Life, and she's going to join us right now. And she is has a unique spiritual path for accelerated human evolution. And she's going to talk to us about how we can do this accelerated human evolution in current chaotic times. She was an interviewer, host, and moderator at the World Parliament of Spirituality and Global Transformation Festivals. Kindly welcome Mansi. Put your hands together. Hi, Mansi. Very warm welcome.
So excited to be here with all of you.
Awesome to be having both of you here. It's a lot of excitement. You can see so many of us are waiting. Please go ahead.
So Shiva, I'll share the screen.
Yeah. So before we start, just a little bit about lots of esteemed participants of Mavin. They know me and Mansi as co-founder of Quanto Life, and we have been talking about synthesis, quantum sciences, observation, and how the evolution happens through observation. We have been talking about connecting with gods and goddesses in very different ways, not the way it is prescribed in rituals and mythology, but in a very vibrational way by becoming aware of own subconscious and becoming aware of the cosmic qualities of gods and goddesses. So we thought that, okay, so I've been an astrologer for a very, very long time, and then later the Quanto Life happened to me. So both the Quanto Life and astrology merged at some stage. And we realized that when we apply the fundamentals of synthesis, the quantum observation, the fundamentals of evolution, when we apply them to astrology, simply a magic happens. So today we are going to be talking about these new concept of astrology. This concept of astrology is totally new. And we will also talk about how the synthesis, the quantum observation helps us. Yes, Mansi, please.
Yeah, Shiva, thank you so much. And I just want to say that the Astro Power Yantra is something that has not been done in the world. Astrology is such a complex subject, and it is really Jyotish. It is supposed to be a way to know the light that exists in you, and for that guide to lead your life. And I just want to say that Shiva, with this invention, has made it so much. He's taken all these complex factors and he has put them in a very simple, easy to use, user-friendly model where you can get a very quantitative way of understanding your own life. So I think we are presenting this on this platform for the very first time. So really excited to share it with everyone. So actually today's talk, we are dedicating it to my dad, Dadu. He's my first guru, and today is his first death anniversary. And it is synchronicity that, yeah, so it's synchronicity that you all chose this day to give the talk to us. So I just feel his blessings in and around all of us. So thank you so much. Yes, sure.
So I'm making a statement, and I would like you to comment on that. I'm saying that the path of success is about making right choices one after another. How much successful you will be in life depends on whether you can make one right choice, then the next right choice, and the next right choice. And if you make one right choice and then one wrong choice, then there, you are not progressing anywhere in life. You make two right choices, one wrong choices, your progress is very slow. So it's all about making choices. If you can, you develop an understanding of choices where, let's say, 90% of your choices are correct. What happens? Can you imagine the kind of success? So, are we clear of this statement? Can we have some comments? Whether you agree with this, don't agree with this, the path of success is about making right choices one after another. Thank you. So, thank you very much for all the comments. So I think we are in the alignment that making choices, making right choices is utmost crucial for success. So now let's move to what are the important choices we make? Very important choices we make in life. What are those? Can we have some comments on that?
Yeah, can you share some of the choices you'll make, or what are the most important choices you've made, or what
In
are
your
the,
life?
yeah, or the choices you're making in your daily life? Can you share that?
Yes, exactly. And these choices make or break your life. And we all understand that. But how about if I say that we make choices every day which impacts our path of success? So my question is, what are the choices we make on the daily basis? Are we making choices on daily basis? So what are the choices we are making? So like Shavana has to make the choice, I'm having this festival, should I pick up this speaker or that? Should I pick up this topic or that? Right? Yes. What kind of food I should have? Right? What kind of dressing? Again, that's Mansi's favorite subject. She will talk about it and how APY helps you in power dressing. Then we have a choice. Somebody has asked for meeting, whether to say for yes or no. Okay, share market. Every moment is a choice, isn't it? And you are launching your product, whether the color of the product should be red or blue, what should be, whether it should be, you should approach the model which is business franchise or which is direct to consumer, isn't it? Every day we are making choices. I mean, you are moving from one job to another. Even there is discussion in the office. Okay, this is a project which is coming up. Would you take up this project or that? What kind of role would you want? Isn't it? So if we are clear, what is our right trajectory of choices? What kind of choices we should make? Don't you see that every day you will make empowered choices? And that's what we are presenting today. So the question is, how do we make choices? What is our mechanism? Would somebody like to suggest what is the mechanism? If somebody want to speak on this, most welcome. How do we make choices? How did you make the choice that you would likes, dislikes? Okay. How did you make the choice that you will go for this kind of study? Pros and cons, that means the analysis, isn't it? Experience. Okay, past experience. Yes, very good. Thank you very much. The karma makes the choices. Okay, this we will discuss. Great. Comfort. What is my comfort zone? So these are the ways of making choices. intuition. So we try to find out, okay, so let's say I have to make a choice of what kind of career I want to pursue. So I will look around, I will see that what kind of careers are popular, how much people earning of money, and whether I feel happy in that. So there are two ways. One is what is my inner state, and another is what is the outer reality. So based on both, we make the choices. Sometimes there are also tools like psychometrics, where we try to understand ourselves better, and then we use that in making choices. But there is a limitation of this method of making choice. And this limitation is that all our choices are still about extrapolation of present, isn't it? Can we have the next slide? Yeah. So you basically, what you are trying to do is you are trying to understand what is our present reality, and uh, a very, very small portion of that present reality, whether it is about the outer world, you know, a very small part of reality. Even in terms of the inner reality, you know, very, very little. So we have a very little idea of what is the present. Okay. And that we try to extrapolate into the future. We say, okay, this is how the present is, and this is what the change can happen in future, and we try to extrapolate that. But okay, now, but we don't know what the future is going to be. So what a lot of you understand that if we include astrology in our decision making, we will have a tool to include future in our present. So we understand where the future of the world is going. Okay. So we have the models, the global models for astrology, not just the personal models. Then we have our personal horoscope. So we know that how my own being is going to evolve. So I'm not going to remain the same person. Today, what I like, I may not like tomorrow. So what is that change in that present? So my statement is that astrology is a tool by which we can include future into present. And a lot of you must have benefited in terms of, important choices you made in terms of marriage, career, and all. Some astrologer might have predicted, told you about how your whole life is, not just this present moment. And it might have helped you in making a better choice. Okay. So this probably a lot of us will agree, but we are presenting a whole different concept of astrology today. So the astrology, what we have known till now, has been a deterministic model of astrology. What is a deterministic model? This model is that, okay, this is what your this is what your horoscope is, and this is what is going to happen. Okay, a lot of people say this is the kind of disease you will have at this age, and this is the age you will marry, and this is the career you will choose, and all that. So this is a deterministic way of astrology. Now, I also call it Newtonian astrology. Why? Because before Newton, everybody used to think that, oh my God, look at the heavens. There are bodies which are moving, and they are moving at their own will. So they have some kind of a mastery, that's why people used to worship. And then Newton comes and he says, come on, there is a fixed model there is a law of motion, and everything in this cosmos is bound by that law of motion, whether be it planets or stars or whatever. So they are not free, they follow a law of motion. So according to the Newton model, everything in this world can be predicted. If you throw a certain stone with a certain speed at a certain angle, you can exactly predict in how much time it will fall exactly where, isn't it? That is the deterministic model. That is the model we used to follow in our life, in our science, and everywhere. So that was the deterministic model. But now, after the quantum sciences came, everything was turned head on. I mean, everything became upside down. It was no more deterministic universe. It was a probabilistic universe, right? So that means there are no fixed outcomes. there are only probabilities. And there have been experiments to prove that this is correct. And this says that the life is making choices every moment. There are lots of choices present to life, to the cosmos, to us, to every being in this cosmos, every moment. There are choices which are present to us, and we choose whatever choice we make, the next evolution happens through that. There are some very interesting experiments in quantum sciences which suggest that if the electromagnetic field of the observer is higher, the manifestation, the collapse of the waves into electrons is much higher. That means an electromagnetic field is nothing but our soul, our consciousness. So that says that if our consciousness is higher, and when we are observing those probabilities, what we manifest in the world is far higher. So a lot of people may have similar horoscopes. In my understanding, one particular horoscope is shared by almost 15,000 people, 15, 16,000 people. So if there is a horoscope of, let's say, anyone, let's say Amitabh Bachchan, that same horoscope is possessed by another 16,000 people, but they don't become Amitabh Bachchan. But according to the old deterministic astrology, they all had the same kind of prediction. But what we realized that this is not true. They are going to have, all these 16,000 people are going to have a different life. So this is what we try to crack in energy matrix astrology. So we included lots of factors there. We understood that every soul has had a lot of past life journey. And so even if in this life they have the same horoscope, their journeys are going to be different, because what manifests in your life is not just the horoscope, but all the past karma, all the past talents you have had, all the networks of relationship, everything plays role in how everything manifests. So in terms of, we can call it, there is a storage of subconscious, and there is a talent store. You can also say in cosmic terms that there are Akashic records we have in the Akashic fields. So our Akashic records are impacting us, not just the horoscope, but also our Akashic records are impacting us. And apart from that, I would also say that in energy matrix, it is not just there is a different concept of looking at astrology. The kind of tools we have are far, far more powerful. In traditional astrology, you must have seen that uh, what astrologers predict about childhood is normally correct, but as the age progresses, their prediction begin to fail. So we cracked why it happens, and we included new methods of new tools into energy matrix astrology. And I have to tell you that the kind of factors, if you thought that energy, traditional astrology is very, very complex, and people keep studying for the whole life and still they can't become a good astrologer. Let me tell you, in energy matrix astrology, we have factors at least 10 times more than traditional astrology. So at some point, I realized that you are the best astrologer for yourself, because astrologer doesn't just look at horoscope. He also has to look at your whole life, your whole understanding, and that he has to integrate with what your horoscope is saying. So, and who understand your own life? No astrologer can understand. You understand it yourself. So we realized that this is something I realized many years back, and I said, okay, so you have to learn astrology instead of counseling. So I started to teach astrology. But as I taught astrology, I realized that it's extremely, extremely complex. So I was practicing, that was my whole career at some point. So I could do a lot of astrology practice on even my own horoscope, but people can't do that. So I kept struggling that then what should I do about this so that people can learn astrology in extremely simple way, and all kind of factors they can learn, and very deep learning. So that's how we came with Astro Power Yantra, which is the simplification of extreme complexity, which is what energy matrix astrology could be. So now I hand over the stage to Mansi.
Thank you so much, Shivo. So what I will be doing is I'll be mostly sharing, I'll be sharing different Astro Power and Yantras of many anonymous people that we have actually worked with. And you will get to see how it actually practically looks like. What are what are the implications? What have they learned? And, so we'll all see it for ourselves, how it looks like. Are you all ready? Okay. So usually what happens is a question we get asked a lot as astrologers, because when people come us for astrology and we tell them that these are your gifts, these are your challenges, and this is what is coming up, they'll be like, what is the upay? Okay, it is coming, but we don't like what we see. What is the upay? What is the way out of it? And and we have many people who actually come, they actually come for astrology rehab. They have gotten very bad predictions, and that's horrible things are going to happen to them. And traditionally we have astrologers who predict more bad things getting good, and there are several reasons for it. Because one is that something that is going to happen bad is much more intense, so sometimes they can see it much more clearly. And sometimes it's also because fear factor sometimes turns into a good business scheme, so that is why they tap into that. So we'll look at
And
how.
there is one more factor, Mansi. We have gone through very difficult period of Kali Yuga where life was extremely difficult. And all these astrology shastras, you see, they were actually mostly written
During
and
those
they
times.
evolved over the period of Kali Yuga. I can tell you, I mean, there is something, there is some astrology text for Lal Kitab. If you read that Lal Kitab, you wouldn't find life worth living. For every astrological combination,
There
the
are
prediction they
dire
have is negative.
consequences.
There are dire consequences for every planetary
No
combination.
matter what, no matter
And
what.
and lots of astrologers, most of them follow Lal Kitab. Also, the reason is because Lal Kitab gives them fabulous ways to tell you upayas, and they can. There is a lot of fear mongering that can happen out of Lal Kitab. Yeah, Mans.
So, before we go to the APY, so the traditional remedies that have been suggested, that I have heard a lot about, are gemstones. And I can understand gemstones because gemstones have their own vibrational aura, they have their own vibrational field. But what usually happens is that we have all come with a subconscious, with patterns and conditionings that have come from past lives. We've come to resolve some specific things. We have signed certain contracts. There are certain things we wanted to learn, and that is so much more intense that at most the gemstones and crystals can nullify some of the effects for a limited period of time. So it is not really any kind of sure, short, long-term solution. And I also believe in cosmic intelligence. The cosmos knows exactly what time a certain challenge is perfect for you to resolve, because I believe in a very loving universe. So I feel that if the universe has decided this is the time I should meet this challenge, then it has calibrated and taken into consideration everything that is out there, and in the benefit of everyone. The other remedy that is mostly suggested is some kind of rituals or some kinds of puja, and which is also where they're connecting to the superconscious, to powers that are more expanded, more intelligent than us. But here again, our subconscious is like gravity that keeps pulling us down. So even though there is a pull to the higher places, our subconscious keeps pulling us down. So in this age, we have such a heavy subconscious, heavy conditionings, heavy patterns, that it is not quite effective. So we want to talk about a new way on how to deal with astrological remedies and what are the best ones. So yeah, this is the quantum remedy we propose, which is that we're going to observe the vibrational imprint. Okay, and when you observe the vibrational imprint of your horoscope, challenges turn into opportunities. Okay, so this is what the talk is going to be about.
Yeah, because in observation, your consciousness is higher. The moment you become an observer, your electromagnetic field rises. it also gets connected with a lot of other conscious entities in the cosmos. So when your electromagnetic field rises, suddenly a lot more manifestation begin to happen. A lot more possibilities start to actually convert into the real manifestations.
So our horoscope is also a vibrational field. And I just want to show you with an example of what kind of vibrational field it is. So I would
So
like to
you were when you were born, there
Mhm.
was there are certain kind of vibrations. So those vibrations, now you have the access to throughout your life. So you are every action you are taking is interacting with that vibrational field. Yeah, Mansi, please.
Yeah. So, this is how an Astro Power Yantra looks like. Okay. So take your time. I'll explain a little bit about it. So this is all the information you need to understand your horoscope. Okay. So in astrology, you have thousands of factors. Like in this chart, we have taken what is your ascendant, what is your moon sign, your sun sign. You have 9 astrological planets. We have included that. Where are they placed? What are their zodiac signs? What is the relationship between different planets in your house? Um, I, what are the different aspects, like at what angles do they meet? And if they meet at a certain angle, is it intense? Is it an exact degree? What is the degree? So all these factors we have included in. And this is how your Astro Power Yantra looks like. So we have, if you look at the house, okay, so I'm going to annotate. So you see, okay. So if you see, this is the house number. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so these are all the houses, okay, and every house represents a certain dimension in your life. For example, your house 1 represents who you are, what's your personality. Your house 2 represents what kind of resources you're going to have in life. Your house 3 reflects how much courage, how much initiative you're going to have in your life. House 4 is your emotional landscape, house 5, and so on. So you have all these different 12 dimensions in your life. And every dimension has a certain zodiac sign associated with it. And then we have the vibrational fields. So for example, for this person, the house number 1, we have, the house number 1, what kind of intensity it has. So what is the intensity of that vibration, which means, how many events of that house are going to occur. Auspiciousness is how good the events are. So now if you look at all these houses, can you tell me which one has the most intensity? Can you tell me, like in which house number there are going to be maximum number of events that will happen in this life? Where can you find intensity? Yeah, okay. So it's number 5, you all agree? And so, yeah, so a lot of, Scorpio kind of events are going to happen. 5th house deals with, your past life talents. It deals with children. It deals with, new intelligence. So, yeah. Now, can you tell me whether the events are going to be auspicious or not? What do you think? Yeah. So what do you think? Like, you don't know anything. What would just intuitively you feel like? Does it feel good, or does it feel auspicious or not auspicious? Is it going to be challenging, or is it going to be, smooth and easy? And what do you all think? So do you think that house is auspicious or not? Is it easily favorable or not? So yeah. So it is challenging. Yeah. So the negative numbers are.
And this is normally the case.
Yeah.
It's very rare that a particular house is very intense as well as very auspicious. If that house is there, then you know that this should be your center point for everything.
Yes.
But normally these two factors are different actually.
Okay. And this
Yeah.
is a dear quantum member who has asked us that we can reveal his name, so we will. And now tell me, which is the house that is most auspicious? If you look at the chart. Yeah, the house 4 has auspiciousness of 18. Anything else which is higher auspiciousness? Yes, number 6, right? Thank you. So for
And
example,
the predicament is that the number 6 house, very high auspiciousness, but you see the intensity is so
it is
low.
much lower. Yeah.
Yeah, so things won't happen actually. They're just not going to happen, even though whatever little things happen, they will be like really, really good with in very low effort. They'll be very high results. But these opportunities, life is not going to present you.
So for example, if this person goes to the traditional astrologer, first of all, you won't get a score. Okay, it will be very qualitative. It would be that, okay, maybe you should not do Scorpio things, which are like, you should not maybe go into, you should not work with anyone's subconscious. You should not go into psychic fields, right? He would give that kind of advice.
Yeah, so general advice of an astrologer is, if there is something difficult in your horoscope, avoid it.
Avoid
If
it.
there are some difficult times, then you avoid it. But let me tell you, the heroes are not made of that. If you avoid your challenging times, let me tell you, all the good times you will get in your life, they are going to be like, there would be nothing in that. I mean, only if you have really lived through the difficult times, then only the real results in the good times will also come.
Uh, uh, so for this person, so as his psychic talents, it started revealing itself, of course the challenges came up. His own subconscious, as he would tap into other people's subconscious, and he would be very good at identifying their subconscious, identifying what are the challenges from past lives, because Scorpio also deals with that. It deals with death. So he also became very good at understanding who is, after a person has passed away, is that person liberated or not? So all these psychic talents would surface in him. And at that same time, when he could see so clearly for others, his own subconscious would erupt and would be very challenging for him. And normally he would have left that. But, because our, our philosophy is that when you come up with these challenges to face that, and that becomes an opportunity, he started observing that. He started observing how his subconscious started exploding. He started being with it. And what started happening is that the more he worked in this field on observing himself, that, the success started coming in house number 6. So for example, the house number 6 is the house of health. It's a house of several other things like deaths, everyday life. And because it's health and everyday life, he actually had an opportunity where he was working for a certain ashram, and there he came across nature cure, and he got to attend that course free of cost. And it's just that even though he did just a 10-day course, he started getting so much knowledge about it. He started getting people who would come to him. The people have studied for 10 years and they don't have those insights and successes he started happening, because as you can see, that even though his intensity is less, his auspiciousness is so high. So even if he put a little bit effort in it, it would just blow up and he would get that success.
Yeah. And when you become conscious of where the very high results are going to come, you automatically, it comes to your, field of awareness, you start to put in more efforts. And that's what happened. And second thing, what happened is at some stage, his 5th and 6th house began to merge. So he started to access the intensity of 5th house and the auspiciousness of 6th house. That's the magic which happened.
And I think there are a lot of people here who know exactly whom we are talking about. And they have, yes, Jayaji. So yes, it is Atin. And I think you all have seen both. People in Quanto Life have seen both the things, have seen his, his psychic abilities. his ability to help people liberate into the higher plane, and at the same time, some of his subconscious burstings, and how well he is able to, have great successes. I think in 1 month, he helped someone reduce 15 kgs through his holistic wellness. So, even though with such little training, he was able to achieve that kind of miracle. And yes, as Shiva said, both he's getting the best of both worlds, the intensity of
Yeah.
Scorpio and the
And
auspicious.
one thing, how many of you have noticed one thing very strange? The people who are really good at some subject, they don't become successful. And the people who are successful, they are not as good as there are some other people are. It is because you become successful when you are being supported by life. It is auspicious. But when you become good when you really face big challenges. But in those challenges, you are not going to become successful. That is the dilemma of life.
Yeah.
So a lot of you may have this question, I'm so good in that, I'm better than the successful people. Why? So this is the answer, because that house is very challenging. You face huge challenges, big challenges. So you became really good, but that house was not auspicious. So it would not bring the results for you.
Yeah. Shiva, Samir is asking that, a lot of these things are going above his head. Samir, is there a specific question you have, or is it, would you like to share?
You can unmute yourself, Samir. Please go ahead. Samir, could you please be specific and ask a question? Joanita, please go ahead.
We just want to know, when can we get to meet or ask where do we belong and how can we work, and is there some contact where we can, get in touch with you all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can.
We'll be sharing it.
Ritu, so
We'll
Ritu
be sharing
would share it, and we would have a workshop coming very soon. I think in May, right, Shiva?
It's a 9-day. It's May or June. It's a 9-day workshop. And just to let everyone know that right now we are working on this model more and more. So this is a model which, every year there will be certain changes, but we are also working on everyday trigger. So at some stage when the software is ready, you will know everything, about each particular day. You will have these ratings of all the 12 houses, how intense and how auspicious they are. So you will exactly know that which day, and you can have these charts made for your whole life. So you can see where your life is going. You can have these charts, daily charts made for, let's say, next 1 month. So you can plan out. It can be really a great time management tool. And once you have this tool in your hand, your effectiveness of your life can really take a big leap.
Yes.
So
Also, I just wanted to can we do any exercise like people those having the challenge? Because as Mansi said, just observing the things will change the vibrational field. So can we do some sort of exercise? Or something?
So, Shavana, that is something we are teaching in our courses.
Okay.
The prime teaching of Quantum Life is synthesis, which is about a very, very vast and deep kind of observations. That's what we teach. And we have our initial program is called Dissolve Your Conflicts, which is a 9-day program again. So I think it's very difficult to teach it in 2-3 minutes. It's a very, very deep, it is a very, very deep experience. We all practice, and there are quantos who've been practicing it for years actually. And it is miraculous. It is simply miraculous.
So anything, Shivu, that Samir is saying that he's not able to understand. So anything for us to take away other than, obviously, the 9-day workshop will be a totally different experience altogether. So if you can share something which allows the participants to understand a little bit of just some experience so that they can really relate to it. Samir, you can put up your question, please.
Okay, so maybe some possibilities can open up when we
Yes.
take up more of the case studies. So we will, let's say, yeah, so that everybody will understand that how really, okay, so we we are going to launch APY coaches certification program. So I would intend that have a look at how simply you can make the charts, APY charts, and you can begin to guide others. So let's see some case studies.
All right.
Yeah, Mansi, please.
Yeah, so I am actually seeing this question by, I think it's Supriya. That's Supriya. Yeah, so Supriya says, and this statement is actually quite a paradox when it comes to APY. So Supriya writes that, doesn't it take away the beauty of uncertainty? Actually, Shiva, you want to answer that question?
Yeah.
It's such a paradox. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's say you don't know whether you are going to be a painter or a cricketer, and life is uncertain for you, isn't it? Tell me, somebody who knows that he has the talent of being a cricketer, is his life less uncertain? Do you see? His life has the same kind of mystery, same uncertainty. Only he has chosen a path where it is infinity. Okay, for you also it is infinity. For someone who knows is also infinity. And in fact, there are beautiful statements, beautiful spiritual statement which says, more you know, more you don't know. And the someone who knows everything is the one who knows that he knows nothing. You will find this paradox true in astrology. The more you will know that who I am, where the life is going to come, more you will be awed with the mysteries, with the wonders. So there are no, because here, every moment you have the probabilities. No, you don't have the deterministic events. You get clear, okay, these are the probabilities. Yeah, Mansi.
So another thing I wanted to say, that so when you look at this table, it looks a little bit more complex. For students of astrology, maybe not, because they're like, only I have to learn this much. But when you do a course, you realize that if this is your chart, you realize that you only have to learn what is the 5th house, what is the 6th house, what is Sagittarius, and what is Scorpio. There are just 4 things you need to learn, because that is your life. So much depends on these 4 factors only.
So there is a question, don't they create limitation to life? So tell me, person who don't know whether he will be a cricketer or a painter, and the person who knows that he has a talent of being a cricketer and not of a painter. So do you think are there less possibilities because you have known who you are going to be, or what path suits you? Does the possibilities become less?
So I am also reminded of what Socrates said, or what is written, what was said by the Oracle of Delphi, that what the greatest thing you can do for yourself is know yourself, know thyself. That is the greatest gift you can give yourself.
Yeah.
To know yourself.
Once you know yourself, the life begins to occur in totally different manner. Once you begin to know that I have the talent, potential of being a cricketer, suddenly you will start to see much more than you were seeing. Suddenly you will get connected with the fields of probability. Things will begin to happen to you much more.
Yeah. And there is so much abundance in the universe, I feel the more I know what is the most empowered choices, the more choices life gives me. The more empowering choices I get. It doesn't limit. It's actually very paradoxical, because the world is full of abundance. The more we know, the more choices we have in life, and the more freedom we have to make those choices. So Shivu, shall I move into the next
one?
Yeah,
please.
Yeah. So David Bohm, he's a quantum scientist, and he talked about the implicate and explicate order of the world. And what he said was, that everything first occurs in the subtle planes, in the vibrational plane. First it occurs in the vibrational plane, then it can come in an emotional plane, then it can come in a mental plane, and then it manifests in the physical plane. So any disease we have, any creation that happens, which we see in the physical plane, first existed as a vibrational field. Whether it be a disease, whether it be a building, whether it be any kind of physical manifestation, it first existed as in the subtle vibrational fields. And if we can observe those vibrational fields, then we can bring about a transformation even before it has happened in real life. So if there is a disease that is there in the vibrational field, there is a certain kind of fear, there's a certain kind of problem, conditioning we've been having from lives and lives, and it is there in a vibration thing. If we can observe it there, that disease need not happen in our body, because we've already solved it at a vibrational level, at a much lesser level. Now, what is an Akashic record? An Akashic record, I think, is a record of our past lives, and it contains our gifts, it contains our subconscious challenges. So all these are stored. Now, the thing is, there are lots of there are lots of psychics who can learn how to tap into the record, Akashic record, and know what are our gifts, what are our subconscious. But then what do you do with that? How do you resolve that? How do you integrate that gift in your life? How do you resolve a conditioning, a subconscious that you've had for lives after lives? So Akashic record, it contains, the vibrations of your past lives, the memories of your past lives, your gifts and subconscious. Shiva, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah. So yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So this is another chart that we actually saw, and this is if you look at this chart, you will see that this person has very good auspiciousness, okay, in almost every field of every dimension of his life. And he's a very successful person, and he himself admitted that he has a pretty smooth life, everywhere in his life. He he has to do a little and he gets huge gains. And for him, our advice was really which field to concentrate the most so that he can get the maximum outcome. So Shiva, since you know this person, would you like to share more?
And he has grown leaps and bounds.
Yeah, after he found out.
Yeah. After this, I gave him the rating
10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, you
back.
gave him the
10 years
rating.
back, he proposed to me 15 different choices that I can go into this business, and for every choice, I kept giving him rating, and he followed the highest ratings, and he has told me so many times that all his choices just became wonderful.
So, Shiva, is there? So, should we go to? Okay.
I think we have very little time, so let's quickly take a few charts. Maybe we will not be able to take up all case studies,
okay,
but just a few. Yeah.
Let me know. Okay, so this is the one which has a very good 7th house, and here the 7th house deals with marriage and partnership. And this person is a YouTube star, and she has done a lot of stuff with her husband. So here again, the partnership played. He is like the mastermind. She's the face and the person who's who's bringing in the charisma, who's bringing in the ideas, and he has all the strategy, and they work as a team. So here is a place where we saw that the 7th house, the house of marriage, has the best intensity and best auspiciousness, and this is the advice we gave her. So this is Shivu, you want to and this is a very interesting person. If you look, so can you see the house 6? He has the maximum intensity and maximum auspiciousness. You can see that. So he used to be, and then he also has other things that are very auspicious. His 1st house has very high auspiciousness. His 3rd house has very high auspicious. Now, again, this is a person who has been with law and order, and he has come up with this invention, And we talked about the sixth house. The sixth house is about everyday life, and it is about protection from enemies. It is about health. And what he did is he has come up with an instrument with which a person, everyday Aam Aadmi, can create, can protect themselves against, maybe some, rapists or pickpocketers, and they have their own device. And it's a security device that he has created. And, he asked us, and here I remember he asked us that if he should open a training institute, okay, whether he should open a training institute. And we looked at his second house, which is about schools and academies. And because he has a negative score, we told him that that is not the right way. And rather, the right way is he has an amazing personality. He has an amazing, aura. And we suggested that he, use YouTube, and he, continue to be a teacher, train other teachers, and have a YouTube presence, and through that sell this invention of his. Shiva, would you like to? And
Yes.
he, like, I think that he was very happy that he probably saved himself many years of trying to set up an academy and it not working. And this thing is, he's really interested in now pursuing it this way. So I just look for any. Okay, Shivu, should we answer the questions, or should we?
I think what we'll do is,
Mhm.
I know the subject is such that will raise lots and lots of questions. So maybe we will very soon have a session for answering these questions in Quantum Life. So remain connected with us. There we can take up lots of questions. So
Yeah.
maybe we can just take up two, three more case studies, because we don't have much time. Because
Okay.
these case studies themselves speak a lot about what possibilities are there.
So, Supriya, to answer your question, and yes, past life regression is helpful. Yeah. And Supriya,
So
anyone
let's take up
other-
the
yeah.
let's take up Preeti's case. That will tell
Okay.
that how past life is also included in energy matrix astrology. And we take up another case where there is an entity attachment. How did
Okay.
we figure out entity attachment through APY?
Okay. Okay. So I will.
And we also take the case of a child, how what kind of future, how the horoscope is indicating what should be his training.
Okay. So I will take up the. Yeah. So this was a chart. This person came to us, and if you can see that this person has a very auspicious 11th house, which is in Taurus, and it has very good intensity, very good auspiciousness. But what we realized is she was not living the Taurus kind of lives. She was, they were doing celebrity management, and they were also helping brands to be launched. And because it is Taurus and 11th house, we realized that, she should be working with luxury products, with very sensual kind of products, things that have a lot of fragrance, aroma. But she was working with something which was more of Aries. She was working with people who were taking a lot of initiative, with entrepreneurs, which was like her second or third best house. And even her personality was for Aries. And we were wondering why she is not living her full, the best house in her life. And when we started going down that path of what is happening, we were able to connect to her past lives. Without past life regression, we were able to connect to her past lives, and we were able to realize that she has, she has some kind of entity, a past life lover who's still attached to her. And the thing is, after she has started observing that in her own life, and she has started going deep into that past life, now she is beginning to live a more Taurus. Her job profile is changing, and she is now beginning to really live her potential. So this is again, maybe some people in Quantum Life might know her. But Shiva, you want to add something about her?
No, nothing. Go on.
Yeah. So this was a case where, past life regression also happened because we were not able to connect this person and the horoscope, and we realized that there is some block somewhere. And when we went deeper, she was also able to see certain past lives, and she was able to observe those realities. And that is the remedy. When you're able to observe what are your patterns, what is coming from past life and all that, then things start to transform. And Subir, you were asking about, what if you want to pursue something that is less auspicious? Then we saw in the first case, Atan, that he is still working on something that is less auspicious and very intense. If you have something very intense happening in your life, you cannot avoid it. So in this case, he combined two houses, one which is very intense but not very auspicious, and one which is less intense but very auspicious. So this is one way that you could you could work it out. Okay, so I'm going to go. So Shivu, this is the one which you can see here that her 6th house again is, no, this is not. We have the wrong house. Yeah, Shivu, I have the wrong chart actually.
No problem. Take the child chart.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, this is not the chart. This is that chart which you were looking for. No. Sorry.
This is the other chart, right? No, we don't have his chart, Shivu. Is there any other
Okay,
chart?
fine. So you can just explain what was there in the chart. That's it. I mean, without showing.
So, which one? The child's one or?
Yeah, both you can explain, and then we can complete. Yeah.
Okay. So I will explain. Preeti's chart. We have the wrong chart, unfortunately, but yeah. So in her chart, the 6th house, which was Aquarius, was very strong, and Aquarius also, the 6th house has to do with healing, and Aquarius has a lot to do with future. It is very futuristic, and one of the things was that she was able to see her own very, very difficult past lives with great clarity, and they were such past lives where which had been where she was very psychic, but these were the lives where she herself saw that she had misused those psychic powers, and there was manipulation that had happened, and then she had gone through a lot of lives of regret of why she had done these things. And now, because she has such a strong and auspicious chart for healing, now she has started this workshop where she's connecting to other people's past lives. She's telling them about them. They are able to relate to that and relate to their own life and what are the problems based on that past life. And that healing is beginning to happen. Their karma is starting to dissolve in that observation, and a new healing is happening. So this is what we are seeing. So this is a possibility for her. Shiva, would you like to talk more about her chart?
No, Mansi. I think we have to complete very quickly.
Okay.
Just take another minute to explain the child chart, because that's quite important to make.
Yeah, can you do that?
Guide the child. Yeah. So we had this child whose 8th house is extremely auspicious, and the 8th house is Virgo. Virgo is the sign of nature, and the 8th house is a sign of upsets or handling the upsets. So what guidance we gave was that he could do great things about the natural upsets, about the natural disasters. Maybe he can come out with some new theories, some intellect, some great ways of disaster management or something. And he's just a child, and you can so the parents can observe what are his longings, whether he's interested in that, and they can start to give him that kind of exposure right from the beginning. Yeah, Mansi.
Yes. And we have a program called Hero's Journey, where we have been able to identify a lot of kids' heroic potential at a very young age. Some of these kids have actually, as young as 8 and 10, have actually spoken on spiritual topics, on World Transformation Day and all. And yeah, um, I hope you all got some idea of how Astro Power Yantra works, or at least you all have a healthy curiosity about it and would like to discover it in your own lives. So thank you, everyone.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shivu and Mansi. Thank you. It's been a beautiful experience for us to understand and go through the charts. And I'm sure everybody is very, very curious and would like to register for understanding further. We'll be quickly sharing the details over in the WhatsApp group. So right now, thank you so much. And to all the participants, I'd like you to, please write down in the chat box, what are the few takeaways from today's evening? You've heard 3 speakers speak about different aspects of life and new subjects altogether. So what is your takeaway and what would you like to apply in your life as a takeaway today? Please write down quickly about what is it that you would like to overcome as a challenge. For some of you who've joined us new today, first day for some of you. So please mention your challenge. What is it that you would like to overcome? And any takeaways that you have taken as a exercise, like, hugging a tree that was mentioned in the first talk today, or anything else which came to your mind. Okay, good. It's great to make informed decisions. All right. APY is interesting. Got that. Be a tree and observe. Got that. Knowing yourself is biggest wisdom, and APY can be a good support, right? A solution tool, right? Beautiful. Go on. What would you like to apply between tonight and tomorrow evening, 8:55 p.m. when we meet up? What is it that you would like to do? One thing which will allow you to overcome your challenges. Write down whatever comes to your mind that you would like to take up between tonight and tomorrow evening. One task for yourself. Of course, we'll be writing it down in the WhatsApp group as well. Financial security is a challenge. Connect to the core, to the nature. All right. Connect with nature. Be the energy of the tree. All right. Beautiful. Interesting concepts explained in simple ways. Got that, Dr. Asit? Connect with nature, water, and grounding. Beautiful. Awesome. Super awesome responses. And I'm sure those of you who are writing and those of you who are here are participating so fully and taking a lot back in your life and are going to apply it fully. Respond, not react. Okay. Respond or react. All right. That's interesting. Okay. Deep observation. Beautiful. So thank you so much from the team Mavin and all the speakers. Thank you once again. And to all the participants, thanks a ton for being here. We would love to listen and hear from you tomorrow evening once we are starting the program. How has been your experience? By applying these exercises, by doing these tasks, by listening to these speakers, what has transformed, what has shifted a little bit in you tomorrow? So come prepared and we'll start the evening with a bang from your side and listening to you. Thank you. Thanks a ton. Have a great night and we'll see you tomorrow at 8:55 p.m. ready to go for another 3 speakers. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Deep gratitude. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can all unmute and say bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
you
Thank you.
also.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Ritu.
Ah, that's a cute
Bye.
girl.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.